BFM 89.9, good morning, I'm Nadia Hassan. Welcome to your morning headlines. Yours here with me now, also to go through the headlines with you. The big main one that we see pop up of all the papers, UPSR cheats. There has been, of course, every time, exam season comes along, inevitably, sometimes you'll see this. Basically, what happens is the UPSR science paper leak has resulted in actual exam being moved to the end of September. So for all of you tardies who actually didn't study, hey, you have some bit of a reprieve. But if you want your exam stress to be over, you still have a couple more weeks, I think, just to deal with it. But basically, this has come out. It's a huge thing. There was a lot of questions raised as to where were the papers kept, how did it leak. There has to be a probe into it. Malay Mail takes the hardest stance where it basically says that UPSR cheats faces OSA, which is the Official Secrets Act. Now, the thing is, right, it's not a good thing. I mean, it doesn't give everybody a fair playing field in as such. And because of that, you know what? EOR judges you. Those people who leaked it, EOR judges you. Besides that fact, it actually raises a bigger question for me. The importance of based on exams, of course, they all must be kept very, strict. There has to be some kind of guidelines. But has anybody actually ever thought of making exams not just all of it? If there was a chance that maybe classroom participation, bit more coursework also played a part in your grades, maybe there wouldn't be so much pressure to leak these kind of things. There probably still would be leaks, but you wonder maybe at least you know that it's a whole rounded approach and not just basically on one exam. The Sun deviates a little bit from theirs. They actually go contempt moves. Basically, the court strikes out appeal of Muslim convert Muhammad Rizwan Abdullah against being cited for contempt, not returning his children to ex-wife Indira Gandhi. She's actually given an ultimatum to IGP Khalid Abu Bakar to arrest him within 48 hours or face action for contempt of court. Another of these kinds of issues that sometimes sadly continues to crop up. NST goes with GST won't burden the people. We're going down that pony track again, talking about how basically it will be a tax for everyone. I mean, it's true. GST is actually kind of very fair tax because it's a consumption tax. It's different for everyone. If you consume more, of course, you pay more tax. In a way, it's fair, but because of that, you wonder, right, once you get proceeds from it, where is it going to go? I think you must have visibility on both sides before people will get fully on board with GST. They also mentioned UPSR science papers moved to September 30th. You wonder, though, the people who actually leaked it, what will they eventually gain from it? Or did they actually sell the papers? You never know. Those people who leaked it, EO judges you. Moving on to the Star, they go from ISA to IS, talking about how the youngest known militant to have joined the Islamic State of fighters in Syria, basically a 21-year-old Kedahan Muhammad Fadlan Shahidi Muhammad Kir. By the way, that's his house, as the Star kind of points out. He lived here. And basically says that they left former Kedah PAS Youth Information Chief Muhammad Lofty Arifin injured. It's more developments on this whole ISIS thing, and everybody keeps falling and keeping track of all these people who have actually fallen, and you still have to question what's the motivation for them to actually kind of go. They talk a lot about how a lot of them were Internal Security Act detainees. So that continues to make the headlines for that. Sanggup Mati di Syria goes with Sinar, Muhammad Fadlan Shahidi, around the three of them who actually got attacked. You wonder, right? I mean, you see a lot of these people going for it. Is it the glamour of it, or is it really what they believe in? It's just a question. It's not me doubting their beliefs, but you wonder, right, what makes them will actually go. Sedition seems to be the flavor of the month, as it is. Another one, Wanji Dakwah Hina Sultan Selangor, goes with UPSR behind the whole bocho little title at the bottom. The sedition thing has raised so many questions for all of us, whether we work in the media, whether you're a university lecturer and all of that. Are we being prosecuted for what you say? And, whether or not you are being prosecuted for doing your job. Apparently, he said something on Facebook, and it was all the way back in November 2012. So yes, the wheels of justice, as you see, will actually spin very, very slowly. But for some cases, they seem to spin abnormally fast. EOR judges you on that too. EOR judges you. Ultimately, what you want is a fair trial for absolutely everyone. This is worrying. A lot of us have talked about it. Ultimately, you want a fair hand to everyone. Was he questioning the monarchy, or was he just commenting on other matters in it? So there has to be a fine line, but definitely I think we'll see more of these headlines crop up. There is this piece in Sina talk about how there's 1 million supporters for the Akta Hasutan or the Sedition Act, and it's an NGO that has put up on Facebook saying, like, we also want to protect our rights, we also want to protect the peace, so that's why I think people will actually support us. And of course, as always, we end with Harian Metro, a daily dose of your favorite tabloids. I just wanted to point out one little thing. It's an advert in a lot of them. There's been this video making rounds around Facebook talking how IKEA is basically taking the Mickey out of Apple and everything. And they've done it in terms of ads. They've actually, they call it a book. It's sudah muncul, which means that it has appeared. And inside, don't you think the pricing looks exactly like that, right down to the 3 to 8 pages? So IKEA, yes, is clearly having a poke of fun. But onto the holy cow, where did that come from? Metro also goes for its usual mix of sensationalism, talking about accident, living in garbage, poor accident, cake architects, which is always very nice. But of course, they also take into account the ISIS above their masthead, by the way, talking about how Fazan doesn't want to come home. More questions about ISIS. Actually, I really want to question their motivations and what really they feel about it. I was watching Air Force One, and maybe it's like the motivation that drew Gary Oldman. Just go watch it. Just one more little piece of business news before we finish up for today. There is actually news that Microsoft is apparently going to pay $2 billion for Minecraft. Yes, Minecraft. Time waster who made you forget that there's actually an outdoors. I actually picked up that piece of news and I found it interesting for the very, very simple reason it shows you how big valuations in games are. It's a game that looks like it came out of 1992, but yet now is being played by millions all over the world. But you wonder whether or not this is the right move for Microsoft to make because they're moving more to cloud and web-based. But you know, by buying this, are they just trying to push the Xbox? $2 billion. That's a very big price tag. Well, that's it for me. I'm Nadia Hassan, and this has been your morning headlines for BFM 89.9. Bye-bye.